please welcome from the Nebraska section, PGO General Manager and COO at Happy Hollow Golf Club in Omaha, Nebraska, candidate for PGA Secretary Dave Schneider.
Looks like there's still a couple people coming in. Thank you, Tom. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to start out by saying, Susie, that was a great introduction for all of us. It really meant, I'm sure, a lot to, I know how much it meant to me, and I know how much it meant to the three other candidates. That means a great deal. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time away from your facilities and taking time away from your families. This is important, and you're here, so thank you. So it was a June day in 1990. I was walking down the path at Elmcrest Country Club, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It's my first day on the job. I was going to be a cart boy. I was going to park carts and clean clubs and pick the driving range. Little did I know that there was a man down in the golf shop who was going to change my life forever. That man was PGA professional Larry Gladson. I worked for Larry for 6 years. He taught me a lot of things over the course of 6 years. There was one thing, though, and one thing only that he taught me. It made a tremendous difference in my life. He taught me that, Dave, for you to be successful in the PGA, it's not going to be how good you are at the game of golf. It's not going to be about the industry and how you do. But it's going to be everything about your relationships with your fellow PGA members. It's how you treat them and how you're treated in return. Now here I am, 30 years later, I'm standing on a stage in Atlanta, Georgia, in front of you. So, people have asked me over the course of the last 2 months, Dave, why are you running for PGA National Secretary? That's the reason. That's completely the reason. It's what Larry taught me 30 years earlier. It's all about you. It's about the relationships, and it's about what I can do for the PGA member. So, I'd like to take you through a vision. I'd like to take you through my concepts and what I believe in that's going to help the PGA member. So my campaign is the wheel. It stands for wellness and health, employment, education, and leadership. If you notice, everything in the wheel is connected to each other. They're all dependent upon each other. Any part of the wheel falls apart, the wheel is ineffective. The other thing you're going to find out very quickly, every single item in my campaign is directly related to the PGA member, 100%. So now the PGA of America is doing amazing things. Susie, she commented on them earlier today. We're doing amazing things with growth of the game. PGA Reach is fantastic. PGA.com and what's doing, connecting our consumers with our PGA golf professionals is fantastic. We have plenty of time to talk about those things and my feelings on those items. But what I want to do on this stage right now is I want to talk about you. I want to talk about the things that are going to make your life more fulfilled as a PGA member. Which candidate is going to spend the most time talking about enriching the lives of the PGA members? I think that candidate is me. So let's talk about the first pillar in the wheel. First component is employment. So being just recently that President Susie Whaley has asked me to chair the employment committee and serving the last 2 years on the committee itself, I feel I'm the most qualified candidate to talk about our successes, our challenges, where we are right now and where we're going to be in the future when it comes to employment, when it comes to compensation. I understand better than most what our PGA professionals, the challenges that they're in, where our associates' challenges are, and most importantly, folks, it's what our incoming. That's the challenges we have. I think I can make that impact. Now, what I was going to do is I was going to put up about 3 or 4 or 5 different slides that were going to talk about membership classifications, and it was going to talk about trends. What I do is I thought I could sum those all up. Sum all up in one slide. Let's talk about facts. 1999, we had 9,300 PGA associates and students that were in the pipeline to become PGA members. Fact number 2, now we're under 6,000. The third fact, 42% of our golf professionals are over the age of 50. It's really all you need to look at when it comes to where we stand in our association when it comes to our numbers. What does this story tell us? It tells me one thing, and it should tell you one thing only. Priority needs to be absolutely positively, employment needs to be our number one priority, period. The time is now. How many of you have had and posted for PGA assistant professionals to have maybe 2 or 3 people apply, or in some cases, nobody apply? The situation is at hand right now, folks. Who is that leader that's going to help us in this main category? I am that leader. So I want to talk about the 3 priorities right now that we have a challenge with, opportunities, if you will. We have to be telling a better story than we're telling as PGA professionals. We have to stop with that, I just worked a 70 and 80-hour work week, like it's some type of badge of honor and we're going to pat ourselves on the back. How about this tasty gem? And I know we still say it because I've heard it. Well, if you want to get into the golf business, don't play. If you want to play golf, don't get into the golf business. I still hear that today. Those stories are absolutely positively killing us. Let me ask you a question. For all of those that have posted for an assistant golf professional position, have you ever started it this way? You're going to have the most fun you've ever had in this career. I'm going to make sure you play golf 3 times a week. I'm going to make sure that you get time off on the weekends. I'm going to make sure that you have a work-life balance. Is that the way we start out our message? We're not telling the right stories. Number 2, and I believe this in my heart, we as PGA professionals do not tout our value as a PGA member enough. We absolutely have to be doing this. Think PGA revenue scorecard. If I ask for a show of hands, and I'm not even going to do it, how many of you have actually filled it out? And how many of your associates or your students have filled it out? Other PGA members, it's increasingly low. Now is not the time to be humble. We absolutely need to be sitting down with our business associates. We have to be sitting down with our owners. We have to be sitting down with our general managers. And we have to be doing the PGA revenue scorecard, not just at review time, not just twice a year. We should be doing it at least quarterly, if not more. You've got to tell that story. Now more than ever, I believe that recruitment is the number one challenge and the number one thing we have to do in a PGA of America right now. We have to be doing these things. Right now, we need to activate our 29,000 to scream the story that I just shared about being a PGA member. Now, do I believe that we need more career consultants and recruiters? I do. We're on a fixed income here, folks, when it comes to our budget, but I believe it. But really, we need to activate the 29,000. Together, I know we can make a change. The second pillar in the wheel is leadership. A vision and all of its concepts are meaningless without an effective and focused leader. Who is that leader? I am that leader. I can make the tough decisions in the boardroom when I have to. I want to talk about a leadership style that I have honed over the course of a 20-year career. I call it 360-degree inclusive leadership. It's a leadership style that encompasses everyone within the organization. So let's talk a little bit more about what it means. 360 degrees to me is a top-down, bottom-up, and horizontal leadership approach, again, that involves everyone. This leadership style I've done at 7 different facilities that I've been at, and ladies and gentlemen, it works. If I get elected as your next PGA secretary, I would employ this leadership style. It's going to involve the PGA member. It's going to involve the sections, especially the 41 district directors, executive directors. It's going to involve the board of directors, and it's going to involve the staff. Ladies and gentlemen, buy-in and ideas need to come from 360 degrees for us to be successful. The third pillar in the wheel is education. Again, having served 2 years on the education committee from 2014 to 2016, I think I've got a great working knowledge of our educational system. Now, when it comes to a couple of things that I think we do really strong, I think when it comes to teaching and coaching and golf operations, I think we're among the leaders, if not the leaders in our industry. We got to continue to keep our foot on the gas. We got to make sure that we get these programs down from national down to the sections. However, there is an area I think we have for a tremendous amount of opportunity: executive management. I think we're slightly falling short there. How many of our PGA professionals potentially would be interested in a job, but when it comes to food and beverage or maybe finances, maybe that's not for me? HR, legal, communications, membership. We have to change that narrative. We have to have education that's top of the line in our industry, so that way our PGA professionals are going to want to look into that career track. Excuse me. Now, coaching and teaching is the core of our game. I'm not saying everybody should be a general manager, but we can move the needle. My second concern in education has to do with a barrier to entry into the PGA of America, to become a PGA member. I think we've got 3 opportunities. These are also the challenges we face. We have a declining enrollment. We've all seen this. But we also have an increased dropout rate once they're in the association queue. Debt coming out of college. We've all talked about it. That debt versus the incoming pay for an associate, it doesn't match. It doesn't work. It's too easy to not choose a career in the PGA. Obviously, the time it takes to become a PGA member, I think that's a barrier. So the one thing I will tell you by looking at these 3 items, we have to evolve. We have to continue to evolve in our thinking. We have to move with society. A couple of ways we can do that. One is going to be explore more online education. That's going to reduce the barrier of time, and it's going to reduce that barrier a little bit of cost. Make no mistake about it, I believe in face-to-face. I'm not suggesting elimination of any of that. But we've got to find a way to make it quicker to become a PGA member, as long as you still don't falter on our standards. When it comes to PGA Frisco, ladies and gentlemen, we have to absolutely kill it. This building is going to be transformational, the home of golf. We need to make sure that we have everything underneath that rooftop that absolutely kills it for an incoming associate for education. Oops, excuse me. I don't know what that was, a spider that fell down? So let's talk about the 4th pillar. The 4th pillar is health and wellness. Being a PGA professional is one of the most amazing things I could ever imagine doing. I'm in the executive career path. I'm a general manager and a chief operating officer. I get to come every day. I get to come to work, and I get to create an experience for 1,000 families. I get to lead and inspire 260 employees. That doesn't mean it's easy. In fact, I'll tell you, it's hard. It's a challenge. It causes stress. The upside is higher than that, but I have stresses. What is in the PGA of America right now that's helping me with those stresses? What's helping you right now with the stresses that you have in your lives? If you ask me, I don't think we're doing enough. I was part of the leadership team that brought in a company called SupportLink. It's a confidential resource that helps PGA members deal with that stress. It's a great program. Little known fact is that SupportLink in the last quarter has received more phone calls and more inquiries by us, the PGA member, than the previous 3 quarters combined. What is that telling us? We need a proactive awareness campaign. We've got to have this, folks. Things that are going to deal with coping with stress. Who is helping us with our mind, body, and spirit as PGA professionals? How about improving our relationships? Who's helping us with that, driving that divorce rate down in the PGA of America? We all talked about nights, holidays, weekends. We've all talked about these challenges. How about working blocks of time, weeks and weeks without a day off? Obviously, there's physical fitness and nutrition. That's the hot buzz topic around the world, right? But don't we want our PGA members to be in the business longer or retire and have a more enjoyable life? These are all the easy ones. What we can do is we can make an impact with these things without much time, effort, and cost. What about a best practices section on our website? How about a mentorship program? I would raise my hand right now and mentor or be part of a think tank of a group of PGA professionals that are general managers that talk about the stresses that they go through and what are their tips to deal with that stress. Again, the upside's up here. or just trying to deal with all the stresses. I bet you would all volunteer for that as well. So what does success look like in this pillar? If we hit it out of the park, what do we get? Well, we're going to get a healthier PGA member who can operate more optimally. Who wouldn't want to be a better role model for all the students that we're teaching? Okay. What about our associates that we get to work with? Potentially even the people we report to. Remember how we talked about everything in the wheel is connected with each other? How about recruitment into our industry? Everybody that wants to become a PGA member, come on in. We've got a healthy association. We care about you. We care about your mind, body, and spirit. Most of all, we're a healthy organization. That matches. That pairs. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the wheel. This is my campaign. What I look forward to over the next 9 months is having conversations with each and every one of you. I want to know how you feel about these items. What did we miss? What do we need to add on to? So what I'd like to do now is change gears a little bit. Talk a little bit about who is Dave Schneider. Who would you be electing as your next PGA secretary? Well, I'm a Midwest guy. I grew up in Brookfield, Wisconsin. Look at that family of 8. Turtlenecks right out of 1985. Now look at how thick that white one is over there. That's pretty good. So I grew up the epitome of the American development model. It didn't matter what the sport was, I was into it. I wanted to do it all. 1975, I was 5 years old, and I had my first experience with the game of golf. My brothers dug a hole in the backyard. In the backyard, in that hole, they put a Folgers coffee can. I remember the brand like it was yesterday. In the middle of that hole in the can, they poked a hole, and they put a bike flag. Now, what they did is they took turns with clubs hitting golf balls into that Folgers coffee can, and I remember being the youngest boy, the youngest brother. There's no chance. I wasn't going to touch the club, and I didn't. I think hours they were hitting it around. I never got a turn. It took me a little while to figure out why did they do that? What's this new game? What's it all about? Well, it's because my grandfather was coming over for dinner, and I didn't know it at the time, but he was a huge, huge golfer. He was a member at Westmore Country Club in Brookfield, Wisconsin for 40 years. As soon as he came over for dinner, he grabbed me by the hand. He took me out. In 1975, I was 5 years old. I had my first golf lesson. I'll never forget it. 40 years earlier, he gave his first lesson to someone else. And that was my mom. Here's a picture of them in 1957. They won the father-daughter state championship at Merrill Hills in Waukesha, Wisconsin. They were my 2 early influencers into the game of golf. Another huge influencer is my dad, John Schneider, my hero. He taught us about, all 6 kids, he taught us about our faith, keep your priorities in the right order, taught us about a hard work ethic, that good core Midwestern work ethic. He passed in 2016, and it's been tough on me ever since, and it was tough then and tough on me right now. So in 1980, we moved from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, down to the eastern half of Iowa. Golf was a very big part of my life at that point. I played my college golf at the University of Northern Iowa, played there for 4 years. And that's where I met the love of my wife Deb. Been married for 25 years. We just celebrated in October. We have 3 amazing boys, Nicholas, Nathan, and Colin. We're very blessed, and they are who I pray for, and they are my why every day that I wake up. So with everything that I do as the general manager at Happy Hollow Club, what's my release? What do I like to do outside of my faith, my family, Happy Hollow Club, and the PGA? What do I like to do? I like to do endurance sports. I love triathlons. I love marathons. I love to get after it. That helps me burn my stress. Helps me keep the weight off, too. Would I say that I'm good in these items, in these sports? I'd say probably not, but I sure enjoy doing them. The other thing I love to do is I love fishing with my boys. I think it's one of God's great gifts to us, is gives us a chance to be outdoors and be with nature. Small fish. So I want to talk about my PGA journey. How did I get into the golf industry? Well, it all started back on this stage just a little bit ago with the man I talked about, Larry Gladson. Iowa Golf Hall of Fame, 2018. He's a 40-year member of the PGA of America. He's my mentor. Each of you in this room, I'm sure, has one, if not multiple. He was mine. Still is to this day. So over the course of 6 years, he introduced me to PGA professionals all over the country. One PGA professional that he introduced me to was Peter Behringer. Peter Behringer was the director of golf, head professional at Wildcat Run in Fort Myers, Florida. He's a great, great professional. There was a first assistant there at Wildcat Run back in 1993 that used to bust my chops every single day. I was just an outside service. He used to bust my chops and say, we're going to have the best outside service, the best carts, we're going to have the cleanest range, we're going to have everything Schneider, and you're going to make it happen. That first assistant was Carl Bublitz. Carl's not here today at a last second, but he's the president of the North Florida section. I have to give him a hard time for not being able to make it today. But he was one of my bosses in 1993. So in 1996, I became a PGA member. I bet you all remember the day you became a PGA member. I can remember mine vividly. That's also the same year that I got my first head professional position at the General at Eagle Ridge in Galena, Illinois. 63-hole resort. It's an unbelievable facility. John Schleman is the PGA director of golf there that hired me, took a chance on me. Must have done a pretty good job my first year because in 1998, he elevated me to be the director of instruction. So I was the director of instruction for the Eagle Ridge Inn Golf Academy. Had an unbelievable experience. I loved teaching. That was so much fun. 1998, something else happened that kind of changed the trajectory of my wife and I's life. And that's when Troon Golf took over the management of the facility. So now for the next 8 years, we would be into the Troon family. They took us to some amazing facilities. True North and Legend Trail in the southwest section, Waikoloa out on the Big Island of Hawaii, and then worked back again in Tucson in the southwest chapter of the southwest section of the PGA. Amazing experiences, taught us so many things. But I will tell you what it taught me, is that my PGA journeys was going to take me in executive management. In 2005, God had a plan for us. We were going to move back to the Midwest, get a chance to be right in the middle of all of our families, both Deb and myself. It's Wakanda Club in Des Moines, Iowa. Historic club, one of the top clubs in the state. I was the chief operating officer and general manager there for 13 years, 2005 to 2018. Then fate would have it in 2018 that 2 hours west down Interstate 80 in Omaha, in the Nebraska section, I had an opportunity to become the general manager and chief operating officer at Happy Hollow Club. Happy Hollow is an amazing facility. I'm very honored to be there. The chief operating officer and general manager. It's a 1,000-family club. I have 260 employees that I lead and manage and try to inspire. It's an amazing facility. One of the things that I'm most proud of at Happy Hollow, and I've continued to build onto it, is we have 8 PGA professionals. That's a lot for an 18-hole private club. Here's just a couple of them there. I just hired Gil Russell as the PGA assistant general manager. You might notice that individual on the lower right-hand corner. You might recognize him. Mr. Ryan Vermeer is the 2-time PGA Professional Player of the Year in our association. You think golf means something to us at Happy Hollow? You're darn right it does. So I want to talk a little bit about a parting message. I want to be your next PGA secretary. I'm a qualified leader, and I can do this appointment. I can do this job and make a difference. I think my experiences make me relatable to our 29,000 PGA members. I think with my inclusive leadership style, I think I can make the lives of our 29,000 members more fulfilling. I want to thank you for giving me the stage to share my path, my vision, and my life with you. I look forward to the next 9 months, and my parting tagline and my slogan is, let's do this together. Thank you very much.